So the countdown has commenced, and we'll see it up on the screens in a matter of moments here.
Good luck.
Looks like for the immediate moment, there's about a 2.5 to 3 second difference on the two runners here. But we're starting off here in Arena 1. And most of the runners here you'll usually see in the 40 to 43 second range as far as getting through this room here.
And what you like to do in this room is keep the center, and then if you have one of those smart bombs at the end, you can use it to clean the room up and get out, and it's a build time save there you can get.
Yeah, but now that moves them on to collect power-ups, and this is where they get kind of out of the introductory room here, and they've got a lot more of these green and purple swarmers, and they also have the introduction of the shrapnel, those burgundy and, I guess, mustard suspendered colored slow-moving beings on the outside. And they take a few more hits, and if you don't destroy them in a certain amount of time, they explode and leave 8 directions of shrapnel everywhere, as you see on Colonizer's side.
And the game's giving both of the players orbs here, so we're going to give not too much of a time difference, just a little bit of a lead for Space Colonizer going into Eat My Shrapnel.
Yeah, those orbs ever important because they double your weapon's firepower. So here we're in Eat My Shrapnel, and oh no, Space Colonizer takes a death.
Space takes a death, and at the same time, Firebroth used that smart bomb, so if he gets back an orb, which he just did, it shouldn't be too big of a time difference.
So yeah, there are 18 shrapnel that are in the room, so this is in a way a timed room. However, only 4 shrapnel can appear on the screen at the time, so you want to exercise a little bit of caution in trying to take out those swarmers, but also have a balance and work on those shrapnel, and Space Colonizer does so and gets into total carnage about a second and a half ahead of Firebroth.
And now Firebroth gets the Razor Shield, so he'll be able to hold center here and just take out the swarmers, and hopefully the game will give him a rocket to complement that.
The rocket, the most ideal weapon in the bunch here, although both of them currently with the nukes that clear the room, at least temporarily.
Both players holding centers pretty well, keeping their orbs. Everything's looking good so far. We got a spreader there for Space Colonizer. That should really help him just clean up everything.
Yep, one more shrapnel and into the secret room at about 3:10, 3:11. And
Firebroth's right behind
5 seconds behind is Firebroth. Yep, and GG Speedruns putting in the product placement. Oh, Taco Bell, product placement with Taco Bell. Not at all a sponsor of GG Speedruns.
So this invulnerability for Space Colonizer lets him take out first gunner and then almost gets the second gunner, but this spreader should let him finish that up. And now he's going to be able to regain center and really control this room. Firebroth taking a death on the other side there, but the game's going to give him some rockets. Let's see if he can get him and clean up everything around him. And he does, and then now we got foot.
And he gets clubbed as he gets the foot. Oh, no. Space Colonizer, meanwhile, hanging on it. Oh, he gets shrapneled. This opens the door up for Firebroth. Space Colonizer not able to get over to that rocket in time. Does get a second orb and an invulnerability and bumps into an enemy and loses the orb just as quickly. I know that feeling. This is a trolley room for both of our competitors. And it's been close. Space Colonizer is going to be the first out of the room at about a 440.
The game's giving Firebroth some rockets to help him catch up, though, and he'll be out of there at 447.
So a 7-second difference heading into Mutoid Man. And the first drop is some grenades, a little bit of spreader usage. Space Colonizer going to manual for a couple of shots there. Meanwhile, Firebroth using those rockets to take out the gunners in front. And there's more rockets on the other side. Space Colonizer now waiting for a drop and trying to take out those gunners. Oh, and gets fired down by one of them, unable to pick up the rocket here, and this opens up an opportunity for Firebroth. Left or right arm rather pops off of Mutoid Man on Firebroth's screen, and now Space Colonizer pops off the right arm as well.
And Firebroth's got a spreader. Let's see if he can get some manual damage in. It looks like he got a little bit in before he got ran over.
Yeah, that is not as easy as it looks by any means.
Space Colonizer's got a chance for a spreader. Will Mutoid move out of the way? He does.
Oh, what a gift for Space Colonizer.
And they're like pretty even now. I think that caught him right up. They're both open chest, arms pop. Let's see who'll get the head to pop off first.
Yep, 2 more forms to go. The head popping off. Firebroth pops the head off first, but only about a second or two ahead of Space Colonizer. This is going to be close.
Got lobbers for Space. He ignores them, and can Firebroth get these rockets? He does. They're like dead even now. Firebroth just needs to keep putting constant damage in, but he takes a death. Is this Space Colonizer's chance?
Now.
It's going to be really close.
Grenades.
He's able to take it, though.
Do it and get a PB here along the way.
That's going to be a big PB. His time was a 720, so now we got a 650, like a 30-second cut.
30 seconds saved on the PB, and only a 7-second difference ahead of Space Colonizer. Wow. What a start to this race.
That was a great race. All the way through to the end. Back and forth. Just great to watch.
Oh, my goodness. And you love to see a PB come into the mix. We've already had 2 here tonight. This being the second. So CHX going to go ahead and get them ready here. Firebroth with a 1-0 lead. Can Firebroth take it to 2-0, or will Space Colonizer ease it here? Or even it up, I should say, here. My head's still all over the place from my previous race. Well, as our runners ready up here, we have a prediction being started here. Will this go to a 5th match? Oh, we're going there early. All right. Well, the countdown will be coming shortly here. What do you think in chat? Do you think Firebroth's going to at least... We'll pump the brakes a little bit here. Will Firebroth go up 2-0, or will Colonizer even it up? What do you think there in chat? Looks like Space Colonizer got his timer started a little bit late. That may come into play. We shall see. It looks like they started at about the same time, but I think the timer started a little late on Space Colonizer's side.
He had about a 1 second late start, so we'll see what happens. If it's close at the end, we'll take care of it then.
Yeah, plenty of administrators and other officials on hand here to make sure everything is on the up and up. Space Colonizer is ahead at least a little bit here into collect power-ups and picks up an orb. And so does Firebroth. That's what you like to see.
Always love to see the game giving out equal RNG to the runners right at the beginning. Let's see what they can actually do with this game.
We've got some rockets on Firebroth's side. Grenades for both now. And Space Colonizer going to get out of the room first and to eat my shrapnel. Firebroth not going to be too far behind.
Firebroth able to keep that orb, and well, as I say,
Oh,
he gets,
commentator's curse.
that sword was on autopilot for him.
Yeah, I didn't know that those swarms were heat-seeking.
The game gives him back an orb though, and now a razor shield, so he should be able to control the room and not lose too much time over all that.
Still just under 2 minutes flat for Space Colonizer into total carnage. So Firebroth has about 11 or 12 seconds to make up here along the way, both still with their orb. Continuing that double firepower, a foot over on Firebroth's side that increases the running around speed, but they're not looking to run here. They're looking to take out these enemies. We got a spreader and a razor shield. Meanwhile, spreader on Space Colonizer's side gonna hold off on that nuke. Is he gonna utilize it? No, opts not to. Oh, and he hits the bomb that's there.
Yeah, and on the other side, Firebroth's had this razor shield. The game's been giving him good drops, and he's just been able to control the center, so he'll probably be able to get some of that time back that he was behind in the last room.
Space Colonizer just finishing up the room now. About a 3:04 into the secret room and about a 3:10, so about a 6 or 7 second deficit made up. As we take a moment for some Taco Bell product placement with Taco Bell. And churrito, nacho, burrito.
Space Colonizer gets a grenade. He's just going to ignore that and take out those gunners. Try to keep this so he can have as much of a chance of staying in center as possible. And the spreader is going to help him with that a lot.
That is ideal. Meanwhile, Firebroth is in the corner, trying to get some semblance of an opening.
Spreaders for both of them, but Space Colonizer's in a much better location, followed up with a razor shield, so he'll be able to just stand center. And then rockets, though, that's what you want to see.
The rich getting richer here for Space Colonizer.
But then grenades on the feet sabotage it all.
Oh, goodness.
Firebroth gets his razor shield, so he should be able to get back to center if he can avoid that tank, but it takes him out.
So about 4:25 into Mutoid Man for Space Colonizer. Some rockets here now for Firebroth, but it might be a little too late. No, he gets clubbed down by one of the swarmers and tries to take out that shrapnel, has to wait a little extra time, and this is, gosh, about a 25-second lead here. But
well,
Space Colonizer hasn't been able to do a whole lot with it apart from get rid of the gunners up front of Mutoid Man.
And this spreader's a chance to get a little bit of that back, but instead of dying for it, he just grabbed it, so we'll see if the manual damage can come in.
Oh, this is dicey, but he gets gunned down by the gunners and misses out on the rocket as well.
It's so hard to get that manual damage when you have both the gunners still on Mutoid Man.
In my case, it's hard to get that manual damage even without the gunners.
Space Colonizer had a spreader, but Mutoid parked on it, so now he's got to go with these grenades instead.
Oh, Oh, now lobbers here as one arm popped for both. Oh, and getting run over, and there's an empty drop with a key! And an invulnerability just missed on the other side. Second arm pops off, so Firebroth able to make up at least some of that time. Trolltoid gonna Trolltoid here. Now the second arm popped off. We're basically even here on the second form. Who's going to pop the chest open first?
Firebroth's got weapons, though, and with the lobber and grenades, he's going to move ahead. He's got open chest, and there's rockets to come after that.
We got a spreader here. How much of a manual is Space Colonizer going to get? A pretty good one here. Evens it up and might even take the lead here. No, the head popped off as we have an empty drop with the invulnerability.
And the game just keeps giving Firebroth lobbers and grenades, and that's going to be enough where he can keep going and keeping his lead ahead. If he can just keep doing damage, he's going to be a form ahead here. And now we're on final form. We got rockets. Space Colonizer's got lobbers. It's going to be hard for him to catch up at this point.
Oh, there's a spreader, but it's a little too late as he's on the final form. The spreader won't do that multiple damage. Grabs the spreader and gets run over, and it's going to be too little too late as Firebroth is going to take it here and go up 2-0 over Space Colonizer. 7:27 the time.
Another race that could have gone either way until the end.
So with that, Firebroth is just one win away from pulling off, I believe, our first upset in the tournament. I think everything has gone shuck. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. Oopla, at least in seed number, did upset Scotty, but I believe Oopla did have the better PB as the seeding took place prior to that. So officially it could be the potential second upset. Or we could see our complete reverse sweep, as it's known. The coming down from 2-0 to come back and win 3-2. We will see what will happen here.
And just goes to show that
you missed. I don't know if you saw the first race, but Firebroth coming in with 30 seconds better than his listed PB on speedrun.com, coming in with a 6:50. So he is now the 37th member of the Sub 7 Club. Not quite as exclusive as the Sub 6 Club, but still exclusive company nonetheless. So our racers are readying up here. Space Colonizer looking to avoid the sweep in the upset here. Firebroth looking to go 3-0 and clinch it. Now the winner goes on to take on Zexy, the 6 seed. The loser will head down to the bonus bracket and will take on Aquas, the 27 seed. Good luck. And we are underway in this must-win for Space Colonizer.
I was going to say, it just goes to show that it's not always about the spreader. If you can get those lobbers and grenades and do constant damage, that always beats a foot in empty drops.
Yeah, Mr. Dino, our restreamer, good point. Zexy the Zix seed. Definitely love to play that in Scrabble. Oh, and look at this. This is practically dead even here. A very slight advantage for Space Colonizer, but maybe a fraction of a second.
Yeah, about a 1 second difference going into collect power-ups. Let's see what the game gives them here.
An invulnerability for Space Colonizer, a foot for Firebroth. Neither one really getting anything ideal. Another invulnerability for both.
Invulnerability with the foot's not always the worst. You can at least take out some of the swarmers with that.
And back-to-back grenades for Firebroth. Meanwhile, a spreader on Space Colonizer's side. It's going to ignore those grenades.
Neither runner getting the rockets or this. Well, as I say, rockets, here's some for Space Colonizer, but we haven't seen an orb pop up yet.
I was hoping an orb would have popped up there just for your ability to call it and get it.
That would be a superpower.
Certainly would be. So, Firebroth into Eat My Shrapnel at about 140. Space Colonizer a few seconds ahead. There's an orb for Space Colonizer.
Firebroth was doing his best to avoid that shrapnel, but it was relentless and got him in the corner there.
Oh, and the nuke at the feet, that's going to add a little bit of time here for Space Colonizer, but he just has the remainder of the shrapnel to take out here. And at 212, we'll head into Total Carnage.
Still no orb for Firebroth, but the spreader will help him clean up the rest of these shrapnels. And
oh, Colonizer loses the orb.
And now Firebroth's out of the room at 228, 229. And
so about 17-second difference heading into Total Carnage. There's a replacement orb for Space Colonizer.
Rockets for Firebroth are going to let him at least stay on par with someone with an orb. Without that orb, he's going to be losing time if he doesn't keep these power-ups going.
Oh, and back-to-back spreaders here for Space Colonizer. Where's this Mutoid Man when you need it? Oh, on the final form, that's right.
And then a Razor Shield to follow that up, so Space Colonizer is going to have a pretty easy time now holding the rest of this room here. And he'll be out of here probably like 318, 319, 318.
318 into the bonus room. Finally an orb for Firebroth. But it might be a little too late here. And he loses the orb as he gets the spreader. And then gets an orb back! An orb at the feet!
Sometimes this game just wants you to have the orb, and sometimes the game just will not give you one.
So about a 342, so about a 24-second difference.
Space Colonizer loses that orb going to gain center. The game gives him some rockets, though, so he should be able to clean up all of the gunners and the tanks. And now he gets one back, so we'll see if he can hold that.
Oh,
and more rockets.
Can he get to him? Yes. And can he get back to the center? Yes. Wow, what movement. Gets at least part of a Razor Shield as part of it ran into the shrapnel, and what dodgery there of the tank's missile or tank's gun.
Firebroth dancing from corner to corner, taking out the gunner, going back and forth. Still holding on to the orb, doing the best he can with what he's got, and they're going to give him some rockets to help him out here now.
441 into Mutoid Man for Space Colonizer.
This Razor Shield should let Firebroth just finish up the room, and let's see what Space Colonizer gets to start his fight here. Looks like he's got rockets down at the bottom.
I'd buy that for $1.
And grenades as well, so about a 21-second advantage for Space Colonizer heading into Mutoid Man. But as we have seen all throughout this tournament as well as tonight, Mutoid Man is the great equalizer.
Firebroth getting that arm to pop off as just as Space Colonizer gets this. Oh, I thought he was going to get the second one there, but I was watching both games at once.
We got lobbers on Space Colonizer's side and lobbers +1 in waiting for Firebroth. The second arm is off on Space Colonizer's side. There's some rockets. Oh, and, well, takes the death intentionally to get that spreader. Is going to get it in time. And is just
that's beautiful.
On in.
Mutoid moved right into it so he can get full spreader.
And that's going to take 2 forms and already get to the final form. Here comes another spreader. It won't do nearly the same amount of damage here on the final form as the other forms.
If he can unload most of that, I think he's just close to about 1 more weapon and he'll be done.
And there's the lobber. And that will do it. So Space Colonizer is going to push a game 4. Will be just over the 7-minute mark. A 7:02, but does get the victory and staves off elimination.
Firebroth finishing up here. He's going to put up a pretty respectable time. Just over a 4:24, 5 maybe?
7:25 it looks like. So 5 seconds off of Firebroth's PB just before going into this race, as we saw a 30-second PB from Firebroth in the first race of this match, dropping down to a 6:50. So CHX is going to go ahead and prep our runners. What do you think, chat? Will Firebroth finish it off here, or will Space Colonizer even it up and force the deciding Game 5?
I know both of these guys are capable of putting up good times, but I think I want to see 5 games here. I want to see them go the full 5.
I think we're just waiting on the timers to be reset for both of our runners. There we go. So CHX is going to do the countdown, and Game 4 in this best of 5 is going to be underway. Brysolf, the top seed and organizer of the tournament, calling a Firebroth upset here. Not necessarily saying in 4 or 5, but just noting an upset. But here we go into Arena 1. Both with the Razor Shield manipulation, and Firebroth getting some grenades. Not what you like to see, grenades on the feet in this room. He's trying to utilize them to the best of his ability, but I think that is going to give Space Colonizer an advantage here, although not... Oh, Firebroth tried to time the nuke and has some extra to do here. 42 seconds in to collect power-ups for Space Colonizer. And Firebroth going to be about 6 seconds behind.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That adds a few seconds when you time that wrong, for sure. And the game gives Space Colonizer a Razor Shield to start, so he'll be able to just stand center and take dudes out. But it's not following up with what you want to see. We got grenades, no orb, no rockets. Firebroth gets an orb, though.
Firebroth's side. Here's a spreader. At least it's something, but he can't get to it because of the Razor Shield and opts to give up on it.
Yeah, it's too bad. He could have gone and killed the Razor Shield on that shrapnel and grabbed that, but in the moment, it's hard to decide what to do.
So it's about a one... That saved a couple of seconds there, so it looks like it's, what, maybe about a 3 or 4 second difference. The Space Colonizer taking a death to that Swarmer, the green Swarmer.
And this is going to be Firebroth's chance to catch up now that he's got an orb. If he can just control this room, he'll be able to cut a couple seconds off of that lead again.
And meanwhile, a pair of dudes for Space Colonizer. Might be slightly jealous. And there's the orb as well. That's going to help heading into the next room, which Space Colonizer was hoping would be at that point, but now 215 is heading in, and basically the same here for Total Carnage for Firebroth.
So now empty drops for space, but we got a spreader for Firebroth, which let him clean everything up, and then this rocket's going to let him just start dismantling this room and just taking out all the swarmers and everything in his way.
And a nuke on the feet for Space Colonizer. An invulnerability, not getting any decent drops, but there's, as I say that, a rocket.
Firebroth somehow able to keep his orb after getting those grenades on the feet. Didn't get trolled, kept the orb, kept his cool, and now he's got that razor shield in center.
There's a nuke on Space Colonizer's right. He's going to opt to ignore it. And is near the end of the room, and 312 to 314, so it looks like Firebroth has about a 2-second lead. It's pretty close.
Yeah, that orb razor shield combo with the rockets let him take that deficit he had and just erase it completely.
We have a brief moment here for some product placement with Taco Bell, and off we head into tank trouble.
Space Colonizer gets rockets and just destroys everything in the room, followed by more rockets.
Oh, goodness. Oh, loses the orb, though, but gets a third set of rockets. Oh, but gets clubbed down. But gets
Firebroth's going for the rockets. He gets it because of that invulnerability. He gets back to center. What will the game give him next? They give him an orb. Can he get it? Game's giving it out. Let's see what they can do. Another set of rockets here.
Well, rockets
and somehow catches them, loses the orb, but stays alive, and the game gives him another orb.
A fifth set of rockets, meanwhile, for Space Colonizer. And he gets gunned down again. Good use of the invulnerability to take out that shrapnel. 436 into Mutoid Man will be Space Colonizer.
Yeah, the start of the room for him was just so strong that even with that ending, he was able to gain that time back.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, and there's a nice spreader pickup and an invulnerability. Oh, he's going to be able to empty the rest of the clip of that spreader in, and it looks like both arms are off at practically the same time.
This RNG over on Space Colonizer's start was ridiculous.
Oh my goodness, you like to see it. And another spreader! Oh, Trolltoy, don't roll over it, he doesn't. There goes the chest open. There goes the head popped off. There's still a gunner in front. Space Colonizer finally takes that off.
But he has widened this lead to a sizable amount.
There's another spreader! There's going to be some transfer damage here into the final form. And
what
Space
a
Colonizer,
run!
I think he's going to sub-6 here. Or pretty close. Almost a sub-6. It'll be like a 6:02.
Still a phenomenal run. I mean, he's within 10 seconds of his PB.
Yeah, Space Colonizer is one of the 16 who are in the sub-6 minute club, and 5:57 and change, 14th on the leaderboard, and was just a little over 5 seconds short of that PB.
I mean, Firebroth's doing his best over here, but when you get that RNG on Mutoid Man, there's nothing you can do if you don't get it on the other side.
Yeah, this one, RNG just wanted to see a game 5. And as I'm looking here, yes, 79% of the viewers voted no to will this go to a 5th match. Only 21% voted yes. And for the second time in this first round of the tournament, we're going to a game 5. Ha ha! So here we go. We have another prediction. Will Firebroth close it out? Or will Spacecolonizer complete the reverse sweep? Well, CHX is going to deliver the countdown, and we will find out in a matter of a few minutes here on GG Speedruns. So the countdown has been delivered. We are seconds away from the runners starting. And away we go with the deciding game 5. Clocks are basically synced up. Maybe save a few hundredths of a second. Into Arena 1, Spacecolonizer picking up the grenades.
Firebroth's able to just hold center there and take a little lead on the room, probably about like a second or two.
About 43 to 44 seconds. So yes, a 1 second differential. Firebroth with the ever so slight lead, but much more can happen over the course of the next 6 rooms here.
All right, rockets to start. They're in the corner, but they're worth going to get. We'll get that and get back to the center. We got invulnerability for Spacecolonizer, but a Razor Shield for Firebroth.
Razor Shield as well. Vitamin R, the Malk is flowing on Firebroth's side.
Now some rockets for Spacecolonizer so he can stay up to speed and an invulnerability. And that was enough to get Firebroth out of there 3 or 4 seconds ahead of now. So he's widened the lead a little bit.
Yeah, about 3.5 to 4 seconds. There's an orb. Able to hang on to it is Firebroth. Some nifty shifting there. And Spacecolonizer, well, picks up the Razor Shield. I think missed the rockets by a little bit. And now here's a Razor Shield for Firebroth, but that orb is going to add the advantage here on Firebroth's side. And there's an orb for Spacecolonizer. Ignores the nuke and is just working on the last of the shrapnel. 214 into total carnage, 217. So maybe about a half second cut into that lead.
Firebroth loses the orb, but gets rockets right after. As long as he keeps getting drops, it won't be too bad, but he's got to keep getting those power-ups to stay up with the orb. Unless he gets gunned down.
He got shrapneled.
Both runners center with nothing. Let's see what the game gives. And another orb for Firebroth.
Oh, goodness. And a key on Spacecolonizer's side. And a nuke. Now all of a sudden, it's drying up here. The spreader helps a little, but only a little.
Firebroth stays center, and this Razor Shield pops up, which lets him just continue to hold the center and just keep taking out guys. Not really getting the drops, but he's getting the positioning enough to get out of here at a 319.
I'd buy that for $1.
Wow, what dodging there on Space Colonizer's part. I thought he was a dead duck for sure. And is going to get out about 15 seconds behind Firebroth here at about a 334. Just a couple of seconds for the final product placement with Taco Bell. Taco Bell. Taco Bell.
So now we're in tank trouble, and the game gets some grenades. Not really going to help much, so he opts to go to the corner and try to keep that shield while taking out the left gunner, and now shooting diagonal to take out that right gunner. Space Colonizer enters the room with rockets and takes out that guy on the left. It's a good move, and then the game gives him an invulnerability, lets him stay safe in the center there. Hopefully it'll give him some weapons to complement that.
2 invulnerabilities and a foot. Not a whole lot coming for the moment. And a third invulnerability. Apparently all the rockets were used up in the last row. As soon as I say that, apparently they found some in the warehouse.
The invulnerability without the orb, at least you're still taking guys out, and then they gives him rockets, so he's able to clean up until he gets clubbed dead center.
No.
Firebroth uses the last of those rockets. He has a little bit left, but he gets out of there like 442, I think.
I'd buy that for $1.
442, 443, somewhere in that range. So still 15-second differential, and it all comes down here to Mutoid Man.
I mean, we're still just a couple empty drops or a spreader away from this all being tied up or flipped around. Anything can happen here.
Well, the swirl's showing up late. One of the gunners gone. Now we have lobbers here on Space Colonizer side. Firebroth just pounding the rockets into Mutoid Man. Still one gunner on Firebroth side. That goes as the arm pops off. An empty drop for Space Colonizer.
Firebroth just keeps getting lobbers. Now lobbers for Space Colonizer. He's about to get that arm to pop off, and I think that the second arm's popping off on Firebroth's side, just slightly ahead of him right now.
About a one-form lead at this point here for Firebroth. Space Colonizer utilizing the grenade. Second arm pops off, but the chest already popped open. We have seen nary a spreader for either runner. Chest popped open on Space Colonizer side. There's a spreader. Is Firebroth going to be able to get to it? He is. He's going to have to manual. Does pop the head off.
Doesn't get a lot of manual damage, but just gets a lot of damage in with it, so still a form ahead of here, or about.
And now the head popped off over on Space Colonizer side, and there's a spreader. That's going to be enough to... And another spreader, but that one's going to be too late. Gets run over. Colonizer is going to need a spreader immediately and is not going to get it. Pending some empty drops on Firebroth's side, this is going to go to Firebroth here.
Yeah, this spreader should about take it and wrap it up if we get most of the hits in with it.
And it does, and there's a one-form differential, but Firebroth is going to take it and provide the upset here, 3-2. He is going to finish off with a 709. Firebroth avoiding the reverse sweep.
What a race. I mean, it all came down to the RNG in the end. That could have been anybody's game. The RNG gods just favored Firebroth there, and he utilized what they gave him and walked away with the victory.
And now, of course, you hate to see it. All these spreaders showing up on the final form. I kind of foreshadowed it earlier unintentionally. But Mutoid's going to Mutoid, and Firebroth is going to pull off the upset and get a 30-second PB in the process, and will advance on to take the 6-seeded Zegzi in the second round of the winner's bracket. Space Colonizer will fall into the bonus bracket and will take on Aquas. What a heck of a night.
Yeah, I mean, We went all 5 matches there. It could have gone either way. The matches were super hype. You saw a lot of good stuff going on. It was just super fun.